What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Off the Couch Boxing. I'm your host, Reckless Rex Ruger. That's the Alexis Arguello puppet. Our guest is already here, so you are lucky. No lines, no waiting. That's just the way it's got to be. It's the way. Hey, what's up, Cheb? I got you.
What's going on?
Oh, man, I'm glad to have you on here, man. Michael the Bounty Hunter. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this, man.
Yeah, likewise, man. Sorry
Hold
for
on, man. Did I
the.
lose you there? No, hold on. I got you. Uh, I got to ask you right off the bat because I'm always curious about this type of thing, man. How does a guy like you get into boxing? Because I feel like, man, whenever I get on here, man, and I tell all my guests this, it's becoming just like a stuck record. It always seems like it's one of two stories. A father pushed him in, or they got in a lot of street fights.
Yeah, well, I was kind of. I mean, my dad didn't push me, but my father was a fighter. I come from a long fighting background. My dad, on my mom's side, my grandpa, her dad was an advisor. One of his first fighters was Archie Moore and Joe Lewis, and that's how my mom and dad got into boxing. I mean, they met at a boxing event. So, it's just been in my bloodline for quite some time. And, my little brother fights. My uncle's a trainer on my mom's side. So, yeah.
Did you have a boxing idol, man? Did you have that guy that you looked up to, man, like when you first got into the game?
My father, I was a daddy crazy. Other than that, my other favorite fighters was Prince Nassim and Roy Jones. But
Those ain't bad picks.
Yeah, yeah. I always liked the flashy fighters. Back in the day. But my favorite, my idol, obviously was my dad.
And so when you get into boxing, he obviously approves them, man. Any entanglements with mom, or is mom all for it too? It seems like the mothers would be the ones to try to stand in the way of boxing.
Yeah. Nah. She come from a long, a bloodline herself. So I think he was more accustomed to it. I think her having to deal with my baby brother being boxing as well may have get her a little bit of antsiness, but for the most part, she's pretty good about it. She knows boxing, she knows the sport. She's been around it since she was a little girl. So and it was it's a family situation. She was an official and herself. So for the amateur boxing in her day, so she knows how it goes.
So what was your amateur background like?
Well, I feel like I started late for somebody who had it in their family for quite some time. My first fight when I was 17 years old, but like I said, I've always was in the gym. I was watching my dad spar with people like Mike Tyson, Razor Reddick, um, you know, Tim Witherspoon, and many other different people. So there's something I've always been around. I've always been, a little kid hitting the bag. I was always that kid in the gym, just with their dad. So I just kind of grew up around it and grew up in it.
And so do you still keep a pretty good eye on the sport and watch from a fan standpoint now?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of the art, the traditional art, a lot of uh, you know, the fundamentals are being lost. So I see a lot of that leaving, and people just kind of making up their own moves and doing their own thing, trying to be innovative. But they're also, I feel like there's also kind of getting away from the fundamentals and the basics of boxing.
Do you feel
The
like
principles.
do you feel like the internet, because obviously there wasn't a lot of chit chat back and forth on the internet and Twitter battles or whatever back when you were fighting. Do you feel like the internet has made like sometimes it seems like the technology, the banter goes back and forth, but the fights don't always manifest.
Oh yeah, I think that's the worst part of the business, that these promoters have a bigger agenda to make money instead of make the best fights happen. And I think that that's why we kind of been struggling for the last couple years. We lost HBO, which was the original boxing head holder boxing, and they
Right.
were they knew how to do it, and they had the traditional classy um, you know HBO. And I think once that kind of trickled down. I think it's just been coming down from. It's been going down from there as far as the entertainment and actually being the promoters actually passionate about the sport and wanting to see great fights. The money, obviously, they always trying to make the money, the biggest fights happen. I mean, the biggest paydays happen,
Right.
but not the biggest fights happen. So I think that, and now we have a competitor, a different martial art is a competitor. Before, we've had kickboxing, we've had Muay Thai, but we've never had it these UFC or any a sport compare a combat sport compare like boxing. And now the UFC and MMA is making its way on up. And you know uh Dana and the UFC kind of have it they have it right. They're doing right by the sport, making the best fights happen, and they're making them early. I feel like if we were on that type of platform, a lot of these guys you wouldn't even know of. You would just know of just because they just came through and they had a good fight, and that was about it. But then there would be only the strong would survive. Right now, it's all about the promotion and then the promoter. So I think that's what kind of sucks.
What about these, I like to call them on here, these gimmick fights? Like, or do you think it's good for the sport when you see MMA guy versus boxer, as we just saw last weekend with Ngannou Joshua? We also saw Ngannou Fury. Or even worse is like the YouTubes. Like, do you like the Jake Paul fights? I mean, I know they do bring eyes to the sport, but does it seem a little,
Yeah.
it seems a little more WWE to me sometimes.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think that boxing should take away from these type of gimmicks and stuff like that. I think there's some good stuff to get from it, and also obviously there's going to be some difficulties and bad stuff that you get from it. So I think that it's cool that it's bringing eyes to the sport, and I think it's also giving also kind of giving fighters a different look to on how to approach it, on how to approach the sport as a whole. Fighters will probably be more likely to have a persona, and then just being their authentic self. Like you said, like kind of like a WWE, and have an actual character, and someone to entertain. But like you said, we want to continue to stick with the traditional, the fundamentals. You know what I'm saying, and where the real fighting stuff. So I think it's a win lose. There's back and forth. No, go.
Now, obviously, I would be remiss if I didn't ask, and fans would probably want to know. You fought once in 2023. What's your own plans and goals going forward?
Yeah, well, I'm fighting here next week in March 23rd in
Okay.
Guadalajara, Mexico, and then I should be fighting here again in I'll fight here again in April. Yeah,
Okay.
in April. So hopefully that'll be in the States somewhere.
And any planned opponents yet?
No, one of the guys I'm fighting in Guadalajara, he's 23-3. Um, he fought some decent names.
And what and what weight will we be fighting at?
We'll be fighting at heavyweight. We'll be fighting at
Okay.
heavyweight.
Okay.
Um, yeah, yeah. So I'm looking to stay busy. I have a couple of other opportunities that I might jump on. Some bare knuckle people have called me. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just get out there. I love to compete. I love to fight. Something I've been doing for a long time, and you know, that's in my blood. So,
No.
I'm gonna be looking to stay active and keep busy.
Now, something that a lot of people may not know, but fans that follow the sport closely will. But one of our current heavyweight champions, you did fight back in 2017. Alexander
Um,
Usyk.
oh yes, yeah, absolutely. I would love that. That's as a competitor. That's probably the only fight I would like back. But hold on one second. Go.
The distance, though, all 12 rounds.
Yes, yes. And if you look at that fight, I was lighter at the tail of the tape. On the tail of the tape, I was lighter the night of the fight than actual weigh-ins. So I lost weight at the night of the fight compared to the weigh-ins. I was a little drained, and I did what I could do. I made sure that I wasn't going to get stopped, even though I was in bad shape, and I knew that from the starting round. So,
Are you
but you
surprised? Are you surprised since you fought him that he's gone on to become the heavyweight champion? Did you sense that he was destined for greatness when you fought him?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He had already won, the Olympics, and when you compete at that level, you have that potential. All these guys, a lot of these guys now are just not coming from the background of being in a traditional background of boxing, and they're they come from kind of like you said, that celebrity or a gimmick. They come from football or some other sport, and they speak Spanish or something. There's like a sales pitch to them instead of having that old traditional fight
Right.
style. Give me one second.
Right. Yeah, I get that, man. And so yeah, I'll let you I like this. Michael the Bounty Hunter does a lot of his best work out in his garage, as do I.
Yeah,
Working out and disposing of bodies, all that good stuff.
yeah. Thank you.
And so I have to ask, man, like I don't know, like if you don't mind me asking, how old are you right now?
I'm 35. I'm 35.
So have you thought about like a time frame when you'd like to stop boxing? Have you thought about what life after boxing looks like?
Yeah, yeah. I'm already kind of getting into other, investments, other different things. Hopefully I could totally retire, and make this thing really happen for myself. It's more about me getting a world title uh, than it is about the money. The money obviously comes with it, and it's a byproduct of showing what I could do. But I definitely would like to get the world title, and after that, see where the chips may fall. But I'm definitely in a lot of the other real estate and
Yeah, smart.
stocks and stuff like that. So
Now, I got to ask, since you are going to be, excuse me, campaigning in heavyweight, what is your assessment of some of the top heavyweights today? Like, do you feel like Tyson Fury has a solid position? Or, I mean, I know any guy can be beaten on any given day, but do you see him as a guy that can be knocked off?
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been spotty his whole career, amateurs and pros. He couldn't even beat he couldn't even get out of his state. He would have been an Olympian if he was good enough. But he couldn't even make it to the Olympic team when he was back then. So he always has problems with smaller guys that move. He's a decent boxer, but he's only great because he has good attributes. He's tall. He comes from a fighting family, so his movement and stuff like that is going to be a little bit more natural than somebody like Anthony Joshua, who kind of started young and
Yeah,
comes from a different background. They come from a long fighting history, so bloodline. So
yeah.
he's gonna have a little bit of fighting instincts. But if he was somebody like Usyk or our size, he wouldn't be a good fighter to me. He would be probably he wouldn't even be thought of.
How about
So
Wilder? Where does Wilder sit on the scale right now? He obviously had that tough trilogy with Fury, and I don't think he's been the same since.
I think
Obviously he just lost to Joseph Parker. Yeah, I mean he hasn't looked good in quite a while. Do you think the Bronze Bomber is on a steady decline?
listen, he's done the best he's done for himself. I mean, he's done a great job from the amateurs on up, and I have to applaud him for that. I do think his time is up. They held on to the gimmick for a long time. They picked the right opponents, and he's he has dog in him, so he's not like but just the skill level is where it's at. But I think that he's exposed now, and he would have to get maybe one of those big fights where he can make a fight because he's a fighter. You know what I'm saying? So anybody can make a good fight. Especially when you have that big hand. But yeah, but the skill wise, the eyes, he doesn't really the just sticking knowing how to box or what actually to do in there. I think that he's definitely been exposed, and you probably won't see too much of him.
Now, what about Anthony Joshua? Everybody's making a big ballyhoo about his recent victory over Ngannou, but does it really, does it really raise his stock that much? A win over a guy with one professional fight under his belt?
No, I mean, they could just talk about it. The good thing that he did is he did his job. and
Defended boxing.
yes, he did his job. He did what we he was supposed to do for us, and but we can't applaud him for knocking out somebody who had two professional fights. Um, we can't um, we can't applaud him and pat him on the back for doing something he's supposed to do. It's like applauding me for brushing my teeth, or what I'm saying, doing
Right.
something that was supposed to be happening. So uh, he couldn't do that to Usyk. He wouldn't have been able to do that to an actual boxer. Yes, I think he's getting. I don't think he's getting better skill wise. I think he's honing in a little bit what he's got a little. I think he's a head case. What I mean by that is it depends on how he feels. You know what I'm saying? So, one day he could be good, and another day he could fall off, or be a little bit, irritated or arrogant, or
Yeah.
a little anxious or something, and not follow suit. But I think that was a good view for him, for his own mental and psyche, and to see that now he's somebody that did follow the fundamentals and stuck to the basics, the right hand and the jab down the pipe, jab downstairs. um I know he's been watching some of our sparring, because I see the moves.
Yeah.
I see the moves coming out. And I think it's good. You can't complain. That's what we're here to make each other better. And I think he's obviously going to get another opportunity, because he has a great team behind him. He has Eddie Hearn, and a great staff and all that with him. So I think he will have the opportunity to get to get um, another shot at the titles and stuff like that. Will he get him? I think that's on him. I think that depends on how his mental is. Go, go, Michael. Take him. Go. Not right now. Not right now. Thank you.
Listen, man, I got 3 kids of my own and 6 grandkids.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. The struggle is real, man. I mean, a lot of times I have them all here on the weekends, man, and it's like a pinata exploded and kids just spilled out. They're everywhere. And they're
Yeah.
into everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
are, man. They're a
Absolutely.
blessing, though. They're a huge blessing.
Oh, absolutely. Too fun.
And so throughout your fighting career, has there been a fight that you really, really wanted to see come to fruition and it didn't, but maybe you thought it would or it got close?
Yeah, I thought I was gonna fight Anthony Joshua. I was the head person to pick after the big baby thing with Anthony Joshua, and then I was the only one that had my hand up at that point. And then at the last minute, Andy Ruiz chimed in and put his 2 cents in and said he would participate, and I think that's when I was very, very close to getting that fight. I think it was still a better move for them as far as the business, because I don't think they would have got the belts back. But yeah, I don't see a lot of these guys actually having the heart, or the respect enough for the sport to step in the ring with me. And I think that that's where we lie at.
So Andy Ruiz is like that dirty dog who steps in when you're on a date and essentially cock blocks you.
Yeah, 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 definitely, definitely.
Came right
And
along and snatched up the fight, huh?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
How does
think
he get to do that? Like, on what basis? I'm curious because I don't know the inner workings of the game. How does he get to do that? Is he ranked higher? How does he get to pull that fight and get it in for himself?
no, I think it's more of a cultural thing. He's Spanish. He's gonna bring the Spanish fans. He's fat. He's a little big chubby boy. So they thought it was gonna be sweet. Thought it was gonna be nice and easy. Which I called that fight the first fight. I knew that Andy Ruiz was gonna be overlooked, and that they're not gonna want to throw hands with him. And Anthony Joshua, he learned that day that you can't just be a brute. And so that's, yeah, it's just all business. It sucks that it kind of is built on business instead of built on boxing, and business second. But that's just what the world we live in. So
What do you feel like life after boxing look like for you? As far as like, do you feel like you'll always be involved in the sport somehow? You got aspirations to train, to coach, to do anything?
Yeah, I feel like I'm like I would be a work on the special teams. You know what I'm saying? I kind of have a little, kind of an overview. I don't know if I would be actually a trainer, but I think that I definitely could show and teach and guide a lot of different fighters, young fighters, and kind of tell them, how it's supposed to be done.
I just had Alantez Fox on here, and his answer was being a commentator.
Oh yeah, yeah, he would be good at that too.
Yeah, he would. He
Yeah.
would. And so outside of boxing, you've obviously got the kids. How do you spend the leisure time, man? I mean, what's a break for you?
Man, yeah, well, I just spend a lot of time with the kids and the fam, and we go out a little bit. I mean, I'm usually always have something to do with boxing at some point, so I don't really have a lot of time, but when I do, I just try to hang out with the family.
What do you make of before I let you out of here, man? Like, what do you make of this whole? You're a heavyweight boxer. What do you make of Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul? What kind of stunt do you think this is? Is it a stunt? Is this legit? Because we all know that if Mike Tyson, even at 60 years old, comes even at 1/3 of who he used to be, man, I mean, this should end in murder.
Yeah, I think that I mean he's older. I don't know. I think this is like almost like fighting. I mean, not no disrespect, but like fighting a woman, a female that it's not gonna look good. If he wins, he beat up Mike Tyson. That's kind of older. You know what I'm saying? We seen him fight Roy Jones. I know that was an exhibition, but I don't know if there was too much more that we would have seen if it wasn't an exhibition. Um, and I think that if he loses, then he's lost to Mike Tyson, which is, we would kind of accept it a little bit more. But I just think that, well, I mean, we did the same thing for Holyfield. I watched Holyfield fight Vitor Belfort in the front row, and when he was falling, he was literally like falling all over himself.
That
He
was
didn't have
sad.
any
Yeah,
legs.
yeah, that was a sad day for me. I love Evander. That was sad.
Exactly, in the ring, in the arena, it was a energy that was like, wait, man, it was like get my old uncle out of there. Wait, hey. So I think that it was just a bad thing where everybody realized how old he was at that moment, and and we were kind of mad at Vitor Belfort, even though he was just doing his job. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's gonna kind of rub off if Jake Paul does that to Mike Tyson. I think it's not gonna feel good to the fighter. I mean, to the
Well,
actual fans.
yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to play out. I just texted you though, Mike Tyson, a recent training video, and that was what I was doing while you were explaining your point of view on this. And it looks like Mike looks very ferocious, and his ominous statement on there was after the pad work and after the stuff he was doing, he was a sweating mess, and he looked in the camera and he said, "That's only 3 weeks in. Still want to fuck with me?" And he looks
Right.
serious. The punches look lethal, man. You watch that video that I texted you, man. After we're done here, man. I mean, unless they just want to give off the notion that this is a real fight, because I've heard exhibition thrown around a lot. But Mike is very unpredictable.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of thought it would be an exhibition too. I couldn't see how they would allow that to actually, play out as a real fight. I just don't see it.
I
And
don't
maybe
know if
they'll
Mike
have some
Tyson
type
has the
of.
ability to hold back. I don't know if Mike Tyson would know how to fight with restraint. I feel like Mike was taught one very specific way, and he's very
Very true.
dedicated to it.
Very true, very true. But I mean, like I said, I was doing the same thing for Roy Jones. When I seen him fighting Roy Jones, working out before, I said, man, this dude, he looks good. He looks good. But when it was time to actually come in there, and we seen Roy and Mike Tyson, they were shades of themselves, and they didn't pass the eye test to me. I seen them. Their age came through, and I just don't think that. I think Jake Paul is, you can't beat age. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing you can't do.
You're telling me.
He's been out for a while, and if it really gets down and nitty gritty, this is a fight. You know what I'm saying? We there's all techniques and all that stuff, but that's why Deontay Wilder has done so good. He doesn't really have that much skill set, but it's a fight. You don't need that much skill set to punch somebody. As long as you're sturdy and you're durable. And uh, the first thing that comes with the actual fighter is condition. To be able to do that thing to fight for rounds and rounds and rounds. And you know, that kind of goes with your age, you know. So I think that he might look good for one round, maybe two, and I think that's gonna be it.
Now, if you could put your promoter hat on for 1 second and you could hand pick a heavyweight fight for yourself right now, who is there a guy in mind? This is strictly subjective, obviously.
I think I would have a couple of fights. Come here, come here, come here.
Yeah, get these kids some airtime. There you go.
Go.
I've had kids, dogs. I've had it all in the episodes. I've had them all, cats,
Right.
everything.
I think
But if you could put the promoter hat on, who's the one guy you'd like a piece of?
I like. I mean, obviously, as a fighter, skill wise, I only want to be honest. I would only want to share the ring with Usyk, you know, to play chess with him. But you know, all the other stuff would just be, you know, just money grabs. I like the young boy, the big baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that fight. I heard he mentioned my name. It's about time. It took him long enough. I know that
Nobody's calling out your name, champ. Nobody's calling out your name.
Yeah. They, you know, I've been kind of I've been ducked for a long time, and it goes in my family. It's a bloodline thing. My dad was the same way. We never really he never had a world title shot. But he was always in the ranks and stuff like that. Only time he ever got any type of chances were on days notice. I think I kind of passed that now. I don't think they'll even try me for a day's notice. So yeah, I think I just got to get it out the mud and get it through the ranks, the sanctioning bodies, and continue to put my foot on their neck.
So you anticipate though, like, you know, if you could put a target date on when you'd like to be fighting for a world title, do you see it happening in 2024, 2025?
I say 2025, the beginning of 2025. We're gonna push really hard this year to just get a lot of fights and stay busy. You know, pro fights, you know, whatever fights we can handle, we're gonna take on and make them happen, and see where where it all falls from there.
I'm glad we got a chance to do this, man. It's been a real pleasure, man. I hope you'll keep in touch. I would love to do it again from time to time.
Yeah, thank you. Please, let's let's keep doing it.
Yeah, I will. I got your number. I'll definitely keep in touch, and I'd love to have you back on to chop it up now and again.
I appreciate you, Rexx. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, brother. Best of luck, and definitely keep us informed when something's on and cracking, man. We'll get on there and talk about it and promote it. Fights, anything coming up, man.
For sure, for sure.
I appreciate you, Michael. Thank you. Good talking to you, buddy. Much love.
Yep. One love.
Later. There he goes, Michael the Bounty Hunter, another guy who's not getting his name called. Let's call him what he is, a boogeyman of the heavyweight division. Hey, I mean, come on. What are we here to do? We here to tell the truth, or we here to bullshit? When a guy's getting avoided, he's getting avoided. People aren't quick to call out Michael the Bounty Hunter. 21-2, or excuse me, 21-1-2, 15 knockouts, and as I said, heavily avoided. I'm not blaming him, of course, obviously. I mean, but, you know, facts is facts. But you heard who he'd like to fight, and I think he's entitled. Let's give the man a crack at some gold. Well, you heard him. He said hopefully early 2025, and I'll keep my fingers crossed. A great chat with a great guy. Glad to have him on, man. Super big honor and pleasure for me. Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook. If you don't, something wrong with you, man. Something wrong with you. It is St. Paddy's Day at the time of this recording. Much love to the Irish. Alexis Arguello tried to convince me earlier that he indeed had some Irish blood in him. I don't know. I take it with a grain of salt. He didn't say much that episode. In fact, he said very little. In fact, he said nothing, but kind of what we expect. Anyway, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on the channel. Stay tapped into the best boxing conversations anywhere. North, south, east, west, anywhere. So stay tapped in, folks. And remember, if you want to be a champion, then you got to roll with the champs.